Utin, mga kapudyak, nandito na naman tayo sa bagong episode ng Padyak Foodie. So, anyway, surprise, baka nakikita nyo na nakaupo ako dito sa sa apartment namin. Hindi muna tayo papadyak dahil kumbaga sobra init ngayon dito sa California dahil summer. So naisip kong ibahin natin ng konti yung format natin. Ngayon, susubukan kong Pinoy reacts to sa mga ibang video, panonoorin natin, tapos we're gonna react. Baka sakaling may matutunan kayo o may matutunan din akong bago. So ganun ang gagawin natin. Pero dahil nga ano tawag nito, Padyak Foodie, so meron akong pagkain ngayon. At least, ang tagal na natin walang nakakain. Natira ko to kahapon na binili ko sa kaopisina ko na Mexican. So itong dish na to is relleno, chile relleno. So makikita nyo merong Spanish rice, tapos meron yung stuff na na bell pepper na ina-stuff niya ng keso. Usually, meron pang ibang kasamang protein yung mga ibang relleno style, pero I guess yun yung ginawa ng kaopisina ko. So habang pinag-uusapan natin yung pagkain, magre-react din tayo dito sa video natin. So let's get it on!
In the dead of night, a whisper slices.
Oo nga pala, itong itong video natin is about the B-2 bomber ng US. Yung tinatawag ko siyang Batwing dahil mukhang eroplano ni Batman eh.
Through the air. Unseen and unheard, it penetrates the world's most sophisticated air defenses. This phantom can deliver a payload powerful enough to alter the course of history, yet remain as elusive as a shadow.
Dami yung bombang binabaksak, Magugulat ka na parang saan nagkakasya lahat yung bombang yun, di ba?
At $2 billion per aircraft, it's the most expensive plane ever built. How does a 50-meter wide
$2 billion. So, kagano kamahal yun sa sa pesos? Tignan natin So, tinanong ko kay Google, how many SM Mall of Asia will it cost to make it B-2 bomber? So, sabi ni Google, 18 to 21 na Mall of Asia ang kakailanganan para makagawa ng isang B-2 bomber. And 21 or 21 yata yung ginawa nila or 22, pero ngayon 19 na lang yata yung natitira kasi mga ilan bumagsak at nagkamali ng maintenance, kaya yun.
giant become invisible to radar? And why does it look like it flew straight out of a sci-fi movie? Hey, I'm your host Regis, and today we're diving into the secrets of the B-2 Spirit, the stealth bomber that revolutionized aerial warfare. From its Cold War origins to its cutting-edge technology, we'll discover how this ghostly giant changed the game of global security. The year is 1975. The Cold War is at its frostiest, and the game of nuclear chess between the United States and the Soviet Union is reaching a critical point. Picture this.
Soviet Union. Wala nang Soviet Union ngayon. Ano na lang, Russia na lang. Soviet Union parang mga maliliit na bansa kasama ang Russia, pinorm nila ang Soviet Union. Parang kumbaga United States of Russia. Pero ngayon, Russia na lang kasi yung ibang maliliit na bansa tumiwalag na sa sa Russia, sa ang tawag na to, sa Soviet Union.
Squadrons of massive B-52 bombers poised on alert at strategic air bases, each loaded with enough firepower to level entire cities. These massive aircraft were constantly kept flying or on high alert, ready to get airborne at a moment's notice, forming a critical part of America's nuclear deterrent. Flying out of Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas, the routes varied by year, but in general, there were routes that went to positions over the Canadian Arctic, Alaska, Greenland, and the Mediterranean Sea. But There's a problem. The Soviets have been busy. They've developed air defense systems so advanced that they could swap these flying fortresses out of the sky like flies. As one Air Force general put it, sending B-52s into Soviet airspace would be like throwing a rock at a hornet's nest while wearing a
Tignan mo nga naman sa sobrang dami nung radar installation nila. Hindi ka talaga makakapasok dyan kung basta-basta na lang na aeroplano ka. Kailangan talaga secret ang patraidor ang style mo.
bright red target on your chest. So what do you do when your unstoppable force is starting to encounter an immovable object in the form of an even stronger defense? You change the game entirely. Enter the Advanced Technology Bomber Program, or ATB. The goal? Create a bomber that could slip past Soviet defenses like a ghost, delivering its payload before the enemy even knew it was there. It was kind of like trying to build an invisible elephant, a seemingly impossible task that had engineers scratching their heads. But this wasn't just about
Isipin mo nga naman, kalaki-laki nung aeroplano mo. Paano mo gagawing hindi nakikita ng radar? Ang radar kasi 'di ba parang sound waves pinabato niya. Tapos makikinig siya kung merong babalik or mag-e-echo.
maintaining military superiority. It was about preserving the delicate balance of power that kept the Cold War from turning hot. You see, the whole concept of nuclear deterrence relied on the ability to strike back if attacked. If the Soviets thought that they could neutralize America's bomber fleet, the risk of a first strike increased dramatically. Now, little did anyone know, the solution to this problem had actually already been dreamed up decades earlier, and then quite literally smashed to pieces. Let's rewind the clock back to 1946. World War II has just ended, and while most of America is focused on building cars and suburban houses, one man is obsessed with a different kind of construction. His name, Jack Northrop, and his vision, the flying wing.
Isipin mo nga naman panoorin natin.
Imagine an aircraft that's all wing. No fuselage, no tail, just one sweeping aerodynamic shape. It looked like something out of a sci-fi magazine, but Northrop was convinced it was the future of aviation. In 1947, Northrop's dream actually took flight in the
Isipin mo, 1947, meron na silang ganitong technology or at least sinisimulan na nila yung technology nila. Bakit halos imposible yung ganito? Kasi di ba pag sa aeroplano, kailangan may buntot ka para inaano mo yung para kasi kung yung aeroplano, di ba, kung ganyan lang, mahihirapan siyang kumaliwa or kumanan. So kaya kailangan meron siyang vertical wings. O kaya minsan gaganon siya. So kailangan meron siyang vertical wings to keep it steady na horizontal siya lagi-lagi.
Form of the YB-49, a massive jet-powered flying wing with a 50-meter wingspan. It was very ahead of its time, but there was a problem. Without modern computers to help control it, the YB-49 was about as stable as a unicycle on a tightrope. The Air Force wasn't impressed, and in a decision that must have felt like a gut punch to Northrop, they ordered all YB-49s destroyed in 1949. Yeah, you heard me right. These flying wings were all destroyed.
Tingnan mo, meron ng production, hindi lang basta isa yung ginawa na prototype. No, may production na, ilan yan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 na yung production scale na ginawa mo, tapos sisirain mo lang basta-basta. Grabe talaga ang Amerika, no?
Which gives you an insight into the aggressive research and development approach of the United States Department of Defense. But here's where things get interesting. Let's fast forward again back to 1978. The Air Force initiates the ATB program, looking for a bomber that can penetrate the most heavily defended airspace undetected. And who wins the contract? Well, none other than Northrop Corporation.
Ito palang pagkain natin, masarap siya. Kasi panay keso yung nasa loob. Tapos yung Spanish rice, pang pang dagdag lang ng lasa. Pero talagang ang bida dito sa dish na to is si relleno queso. Subukan ninyo. Kasi bell pepper lang siya, so hindi siya yung ganun kaanghang. Kumbaga may konting sipol ng anghang. Tapos keso.
Like the flying wing rose from the ashes, ready for its second act. This time armed with decades of technological advancement and a blank check from the US government, Northrop was poised to turn the impossible into reality. But how exactly do you make a 100-ton aircraft with a wingspan that's as wide as a football field invisible to radar? Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Sa itsura pa lang mga spaceship na no? Kaya hindi malayo sasabihin mo sa akin na alien technology ang ginamit nila. Yeah, most likely. Tama naman yung itsurang yan.
Okay, first things first, we have got to talk about that iconic shape. The B-2 looks like it flew straight out of a sci-fi movie, and there's good reason for that. The B-2s are Jack Northrop's flying wing concept from the 1940s cranked up to 11. But this isn't just about looking cool. Every curve and angle of this bad boy serves a purpose. You see, unlike conventional aircraft with their distinct fuselages and tails, the B-2 is essentially one continuous wing. This shape does two crucial things. It gives the B-2 an incredibly low radar cross-section, that's stealth speak for really hard to spot, and it also provides excellent aerodynamic efficiency, crucial for an aircraft designed to...
Pag tinignan mo, tignan mo to, yung profile ng side view ng B2, parang ibon. Ba? Ang galing, di ba?
Fly halfway around the world without breaking a sweat. Now, let's zoom in on the B-2's materials that give it its stealth capabilities. The real magic happens on the surface. The B-2 skin is coated with top-secret radar-absorbent materials. These aren't your average paints. They're specially designed to absorb radar energy rather than reflect it. It's kind of like the B-2 is wearing an invisibility cloak.
Top-secret paint job from the 1970s. Merong lalabas na B-21 which is newer. So, just imagine kung anong klaseng technology ang meron yun because of the 30, 40-year gap? Think about it.
Cloak made of materials so classified, I'd probably disappear if I told you about them. As you can see in this radar cross-section diagram, even the way the B-2 is built contributes to its stealthiness. The aircraft's skin is made up of large, smooth panels with minimal seams, because every edge, every corner, every tiny imperfection could potentially reflect radar waves.
Imagine mo na lang kung anong klaseng tornilyo ginagamit nila dyan. Hindi lang yung basta-basta flathead or yung basta-basta na matawag dito, yung Phillips screw, di ba? Malamang yan, yung isang tornilyo niyan, 1,000 ang gastos mo, $1,000 eh. Malamang yun, special na makakatindi ng 700 degrees to negative 50 degrees Celsius, di ba? Tapos siguro yan yung mismong Allen wrench or kung anumang wrench ang ginagamit special pa na hindi basta-basta standard sa sa publiko, you know? Yun mo, tsura wala kang makikitang welding o anuman.
Think of the B-2's exterior like a sleek sports car. No rough edges, no sharp corners. Just, if that sports car was the size of a warehouse and tried really hard to avoid getting spotted by speeding cameras. Anyway, here's where things get really tricky. As we already mentioned, flying wings are not very stable. Without a tail, they tend to yaw and pitch, which basically means they just kind of tilt to the sides. To solve this, the B-2 used a fly-by-wire system, which is so advanced that it's the literal definition of top secret. This computer-controlled system makes constant adjustments to the aircraft's control surfaces, keeping it stable in flight. It's so sophisticated that the B-2 can pull off maneuvers that would be unthinkable for a plane this size.
So, isipin nyo to, yung technology nung supercomputer na ginagamit nila is 1970s or 1980s technology. paano pa kaya ngayon? Most likely, through the years, ina-upgrade nila yung processor. Kasi pagka matanda na yung processor, top secret, hindi basta-basta makakabili sa labas ulit. Okay, just think about it. So, malamang yung ginagamit niya noong 1970s is our i9 or i7 ng Pentium or ng Intel ngayon. Okay? So since military to, so most likely processor nila mas mabilis pa sa existing laptop ninyo sa bahay. Okay? Ganun na lang isipin niyo noong 1970s, ang technology nila is probably yung ginagamit ng B-2 bomber noong 1970s is probably yung ginagamit natin for Windows XP. Ngayong nasa Windows 11 na tayo, most likely yung processor na ginagamit ngayon, in-upgrade nila ilang beses siya, malamang mas mabilis pa sa laptop na nasa bahay ninyo ngayon or nasa opisina ninyo. Think about it.
Imagine you're a radar operator and suddenly your screen just goes blank. Well, that's the Spirit in action. The B-2 packs 4 General Electric F-118 GE100 turbofans, but good luck spotting them. These things are buried deep within the aircraft's body, with the intakes cleverly hidden on top of the wing. Why? Well, because nothing says, "Hey, I'm a plane," quite like a radar beam bouncing off a shiny engine fan blade. The exhaust is cooled and spread over a wide area at the rear of the aircraft, minimizing its infrared signature. It's kind of like the B-2 is tiptoeing through the sky, trying not to leave any footprints.
Isipin mo pati yung intake ng hangin para sa jet, pinag-aralan nila, pati yung usok ng tambucho, pinag-aralan din nila na para hindi mainit yung lumalabas, para hindi makita ng kalaban. $2 billion.
The airframe is made primarily of carbon graphite composite materials, lightweight, strong, and about as radar transparent as you can get without being physically invisible. The aircraft was built in separate sections, then assembled with the precision of a Swiss watchmaker. One tiny misalignment and boom, suddenly you've got a multi-billion-dollar radar reflector instead of a stealth bomber. When the B-2 was finally unveiled on November 22nd, 1988, it was kind of like showing the world a glimpse of the future. As it rolled out of its hangar, you can almost hear the collective jaws hitting the floor. This was an aircraft that looked like it had been beamed down from a sci-fi movie, ready to rewrite the rules of aerial warfare. The technological array packed into this flying wonder was nothing short of awe-inspiring. With over 130 onboard computers controlling every element of the aircraft, the B-2 wasn't just ahead of its time, it was in a time of its own.
May nakapagsabi sa akin, hindi ko alam kung totoo na yung windshield down ng B-2 bomber may display din. Dinidisplay yung kailangang basahin ng mga piloto at saka yung yung kung saan sila papunta, naka-outline na gano'n sa screen. I don't know kung gano'n ang technology nila noong 1989 nung nilabas to or baka recently lang. Hey, $2 billion, you gotta update and keep up with the technology, di ba?
Find a variety of techniques to achieve its near invisibility. Its shape confused radar, its materials absorbed radar energy, and its electronic countermeasures jammed enemy detection systems. This graph dramatically illustrates the B-2's radar signature compared to conventional aircraft. The result? An aircraft with a radar cross-section 1,000 times smaller than that of the B-52, which on a radar screen
0.01 square meters. Hindi ko lang alam kung kagaano kaliit 'yon, pero malamang maliit 'yon. Kasi itong kalaki-laki na B-52 Fortress, ang nakikita niya is 10 square meters lang. Malaki pa rin sa yun. Malaki pa rin yung B-52 bomber. Sipin mo, no? Ganun kalaki pero halos kasi liit lang ng bola.
Would be kind of like trying to spot a pigeon. When the B-2 made its maiden flight on July 17, 1989, it proved that all this fancy engineering wasn't just theoretical. This thing could fly. and fly well. It was the culmination of decades of work from Jack Northrop's early experiments to the cutting-edge technology of the 1980s. The B-2 Spirit wasn't just a new aircraft. It was a revolution in aviation, a flying testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. Now, let's talk about the capabilities and performance that this beast has, because in addition to stealth, the B-2 Spirit is a highly capable asset made to carry out missions deep in hostile territory. First up, let's talk everyone's favorite, payload. It can carry 20 tons of bombs. Basically, imagine squeezing 10 sedans into its belly. And we're not talking about just
10 sedans. So, 10 Honda Civic, 10 Corollas. So, pag nakakita kayo bukas ng Corolla or ng Civic, isipin nyo 10 nun ang kayang bitbitin or dalhin ng isang B-2 bomber.
conventional bombs here. The B-2 is part of America's nuclear deterrent strategy. For your everyday, non-apocalyptic missions, the B-2 can carry up to 80 500-pound GPS-guided bombs. That's precision strikes on 80 different targets in one single sortie. Or if you're feeling a little bit more ambitious, let's say, it can deploy specialized weapons like the GBU-50.
Ito yung ginamit nila para sa di ba? Yung sa yung underground facility ng mga Iranians, yung humuhukay sa bundok, tapos saka siya sasabog sa loob.
57 massive ordnance penetrator. At 15 tons, this bunker buster is basically a small building that you can drop on other buildings. Kind of like the Air Force's way of saying, we don't care how deep you dig, we can still reach you. But here's where things get really impressive. The B-2's range. On a single tank of gas, this thing can fly over 11,000 kilometers. That's like flying from New York to Moscow and still having enough fuel left to circle the Red Square a few times. And with aerial refueling, its range is basically anywhere on Earth. It's the kind of plane that can show up uninvited to a party halfway around the world and still leave before anyone notices. Now, you might be thinking, sure, it can go far, but is it fast? Well, at high altitudes, the B-2 cruises at about 901 kilometers per hour. That's not breaking any speed records, but remember, this is a bomber, not a fighter jet. It's more about the slow, silent approach than the flashy flyby. Plus, it can reach altitudes of 50,000 feet. That's almost higher than Mount Everest times 2. It's operated by a crew of 2. A pilot and a mission commander. And these folks aren't just flying. They're managing a suite of state-of-the-art avionics and mission planning systems that are so advanced they're in a league of their own. And get this, if GPS goes down, the B-2 can navigate using the stars. The B-2 can operate in
Paano nyo nakikita yung mga bituin? Paano nyo nakikita yung bituin tapos alam niya kung saan siya?
all weather conditions, day or night. Its advanced radar system, which has been very controversial, allows it to perform terrain forming and terrain avoidance maneuvers automatically. But how much does it cost to have this kind of bomber in your fleet? Each B-2 costs about $2 billion per aircraft, which is more than the entire GDP of some small countries. That's billion with a B. To put that into perspective, you could buy about 5,000 average American homes for the price of one B-2. So why is it so expensive? Well, it's a perfect storm of costly factors. For starters, the technology is cutting edge. We're talking materials and systems that probably won't be declassified until our grandkids are old enough to.
Tingnan mo maigi yung picture, oh. I mean, eto malamang yung ni-release na for public. Pero kita mo, no, hindi mo talaga makikita yung pinag-weldingan or pinagduktungan. Hindi mo makita kung nasaan yung mga tornilyo para makita mo kung saan ano yung mga panels na bubuksan mo para mapuntahan mo yung makina or kung kailangan mo pumasok sa loob. Ito, may nakita ka ayun so sa taas, kaliwa, may yung tabi ng kulay red na triangle. Pero aside from that, kita mo, hindi mo malaman kung nasaan yung mga tornilyo.
Vote. Then there's the exclusivity factor. Only 21 have ever been built. Maintenance is another budget buster. That radar-absorbing skin, well, it needs to be reapplied regularly. And let's not forget about the constant upgrades. The B2 of today is far more advanced than the one that rolled out back in the 80s. It somehow managed to age forward, getting younger and more capable. But is it worth it? Well, that's the multi-billion-dollar question. Supporters argue that the B2's unique capabilities justify the cost. After all, how do you put a price tag on the ability to strike anywhere on the Earth without being detected? But even stealth aircraft can't hide from aging. The Air Force is already eyeing its replacement, the B-21 Raider, the next evolution of stealth technology. The B-21 Raider is to play multiple roles as an intercontinental strategic bomber and intelligence collection hub, hooked up to a larger network to make it the first 6th-generation aircraft of its kind. It's meant to be smaller, more affordable, and easier to maintain than its predecessor, which would allow manufacturing a much larger fleet. So, what do you think about the B-2 bomber? And would you like to learn more about the new advanced B-21 Raider? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you love learning about projects that push the limits of technology, make sure that you're subscribed to Megabuilds. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
So yun. So nakita ninyo, no? Grabe yung technology ng ng B1 B2 bomber. Baka sa susunod pag-usapan natin yung B1 or si B52. Pero si B2 talaga yung parang high-tech na gamit nila ngayon eh. You know? And bumuti nga ginagamit na nila dahil dati parang piling-pili lang yung mga missions na ginagamit na kahit naman ngayon. Pero kita nyo naman, you know, binomba nila yung Iran. Hindi man lang nakapalagang Iran. Nung simula pa nung gera yun na 1 month, 2 months ago. So anyway, hopefully nag-enjoy kayo. Sa susunod, iba naman ang pag-uusapan natin. Thank you. Bye.